everyone, and welcome back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe Retrospective, taking a look at each film in the MCU and seeing how well they hold up. Last time, we saw Phase 3's Distraction with Ant-Man and the Wasp, a harmless, if dull, detour. Today, we look at Marvel's first standalone film starring a female hero with Captain Marvel. The history of such a prolific character is a little complicated. The original Captain Marvel, an alien man named Mar-Vell, was created by Stan Lee and Gene Colan, and first appeared in Marvel Superheroes number 12 in 1967. At the time, a character of the same name, published by Fawcett Comics, was in the middle of a legal battle with DC, who claimed he was too similar to Superman. As a result, they stopped making comics with that name, leaving it open for Marvel to jump in on it. DC later bought the rights to Fawcett's character and renamed him Shazam. Several other heroes took on the name of Captain Marvel, including Monica Rambeau, who ended up appearing in the movie and the ongoing MCU. Carol Danvers was the latest to take the mantle and was created by Colan and Roy Thomas. She first appeared in Marvel Superheroes number 16 in 1968 as Miss Marvel, a character closely associated with the X-Men, being the source of Rogue's super strength in flight. Carol appeared in several cartoons with that title. She later debuted as the newest Captain Marvel in Amazing Spider-Man number 9 in 2012. Despite only having the title for a few years, Carol quickly became an icon of female superheroes. Enough for Marvel Studios to begin developing a film adaptation as early as 2014. In fact, back in Age of Ultron, Joss Whedon initially tried to give the character a cameo at the end, but was edited out to leave room for a later appearance. After announcing the movie as part of Phase 3, Marvel hired Guardians of the Galaxy writer Nicole Perlman and Inside Out writer Meg LaFauve to pen the initial draft. Looking for new people on the indie film scene, they hired duo Anna Bodin and Ryan Fleck to help the project. They began reworking the script alongside Geneva Robertson-Dworet, taking inspiration from Kelly Sue DeConnick's run and basing the storyline on the Skrull-Kree War. Joe Shrapnel and Anna Waterhouse reworked the story during filming, and Jack Schaefer did uncredited rewrites. One of the things Marvel wanted to explore with the film was the Air Force. They consulted with real pilots and studied their work to make it accurate. Another thing they wanted to explore was some background on Nick Fury by having it take place in the 90s. However, this meant Fury would have to look at least 20 years younger. With the effects team able to de-age actors for flashback scenes, Marvel decided to do it for an entire movie instead of casting a younger actor that resembled Samuel L. Jackson. Much of the film's marketing surrounded that. Speaking of marketing, the film itself became controversial before it even came out. The critic website Rotten Tomatoes holds a want-to-see score for movies that have yet to be released. After the first trailer for Captain Marvel was released, the want-to-see score for the film sat at a low 28%. Claims were made that this was an attack on the film's message of female empowerment, calling it a feministic agenda. Rotten Tomatoes later removed the percentage and replaced it with a number score of the number of people interested in watching the film. While the audience score now sits at a rotten 45%, the critical score is a certified fresh 79%. This resulted in the film gaining a status similar to the all-female Ghostbusters reboot in 2016. Some say that anyone who didn't like the film was a sexist bigot and misogynistic towards female heroes. Despite this, Captain Marvel made over $1 billion at the box office, becoming one of the highest-grossing films of all time. Praise and criticism were all over the place, with thoughts on the lead ranging from powerful to stilted and the story fresh to stale. Now that the MCU is getting more Marvels with a sequel, does Carol's origin story have anything of value? Let's look back and see. Before we talk about the plot, let's talk about the Marvel Studios logo. This was the first Marvel film released after Stan Lee's passing in late 2018. While he still had a cameo in Endgame, the team used this movie to pay tribute to him by showcasing his appearances in their movies. It's another bittersweet homage next to Chadwick Boseman. The film opens with a dream sequence of our hero seeing a woman being attacked by a Skrull. This is Veers, played by Brie Larson, who wakes up on the planet Hala, the home world of the Kree. You know, when I first saw Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy and the Kree soldiers that created the Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., never did I imagine that their home would be this boring and generic. This looks like an alien world that you see in every sci-fi story. If you were to show me this with no context to what it was from, I would have no idea because it has no identity. Anyway, Veers has lived here for the past 6 years with no memory of who she is or where she came from. She goes to her mentor Yang-Rog, played by Jude Law, and the two discuss her dream while sparring. Later, she sees the Supreme Intelligence, the AI leader of the Kree. The Intelligence is a non-corporeal being that takes physical form upon seeing someone as the person they most admire above all others. For Veers, the Intelligence takes the form of a woman from her past, played by Annette Bening. She questions Veers' loyalty to the Kree, and Veers is clearly troubled by her lack of memory. While the amnesiac protagonist trope isn't anything new, we haven't seen Marvel do it before, so it's interesting to see their take on it. The Intelligence sends her on a mission with her team, Star Force. Star Force is made up of Veers, Yang-Rog, Koraf, and the blue-skinned Kree Atlas, played by Algenius Perez Soto, Bronchar, played by Rune Temte, and Minerva, played by Gemma Chan. The group is assigned to rescue Solar, played by Chukwumodu. Star Force is quite possibly the most forgettable team in Marvel history. They have little to no personality and barely leave an impact. They aren't even in the movie for very long. They're just in the beginning and end. And Koraf's appearance is a nice tie-in to his connection with Ronan, but it's completely pointless. Speaking of pointless, Star Force travels to the planet Torfa, which sounds like an off-brand tofu, to rescue Solar from a sect of Skrulls. They make it clear that the Kree have a strong hatred of Skrulls, especially since they can shapeshift and disguise themselves as anyone. Veers makes it to Solar while the others fight off Skrulls. However, Solar is actually a Skrull in disguise who subdues Veers and takes her to a Skrull ship. We then see glimpses of her past as the Skrulls try to extract information from her. After jumping around, they find the woman Veers sees as the Intelligence, Dr. Wendy Lawson, who worked on a Lightspeed engine dubbed Project Pegasus. Veers wakes up hanging upside down from a machine as the Skrulls make course for Earth. She breaks out and questions the leader Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn. She thinks they put the images in her head, but he says they were within her the whole time. She fights off the Skrulls and makes it to an escape pod, but crashes on Earth right into a blockbuster. Did I mention this movie takes place in the 90s? Veers finds some communication equipment and contacts Yang-Rog, bringing him up to speed with the situation. He tells her to stay put and they'll find her, but she encounters Fury and Coulson, a seasoned agent and a rookie of S.H.I.E.L.D. Both Jackson and Greg are de-aged beautifully here. It's seamless how they look. Veers tries to tell them the situation, but they just see her as a crazy lady. That is, until the Skrulls attack. Veers follows one onto a train, giving us a heartfelt and meta Stan Lee cameo, with him reading his lines for his appearance in the Kevin Smith movie Mallrats. Fury and Coulson chase after her until Coulson is revealed as a Skrull, and Fury fights with him as they crash, killing the alien. Veers loses track of the other one, but finds some info from her memory. She finds the location of a bar and some new duds. Meanwhile, Fury sees a Skrull autopsy and relays what he witnessed to his boss Keller, who is Talos in disguise. Mendelsohn also played Keller in his normal look, with an American accent, and used his natural voice for Talos. It's a great distinction, as with Keller he's all business, but with Talos he's more laid back and gets a lot of laughs. Fury tracks Veers to the bar and the two exchange intel. There's something I should mention here. Patrick Brennan makes a cameo as the bartender. Previously, the actor appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a person who had a history with Coulson. While they never confirmed if the two are the same person, there's been some speculation, especially since it feels like such a big detail for it not to be a coincidence. Fury convince each other they're not Skrulls and look for Project Pegasus. These two have the best chemistry in the movie. The actors worked together on a couple movies prior, and the way they work off each other is perfection. Also, I'd like to talk about Larson's acting here. In some parts, she does a good job. Other times, it feels like she's underplaying. You know she has a wide range of emotions if you've seen her in films like Short Term 12 and Room. But it's like the directors told her to be blank. I get what they're trying to do, having her struggle to compose herself, but the execution is a little off. The two head to an old government base and retrieve files on Lawson. While there, Fury uses a pager to contact Keller and bring him to them. However, he quickly realizes the truth and goes to help Veers. She learns that Lawson was a Kree named Mar-Vell and was killed when her lightspeed engine blew up. She and Fury escape with Coulson's help and take an aircraft to find the last person alive connected to the project. They also find a cat named Goose who joins the party, but here he is named for Top Gun to connect to the Air Force. They go to Louisiana and meet Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch, and Monica, played by Akira Akbar. The two are shocked and surprised at her appearance since they know her as Carol Danvers, who was said to have died with Lawson. Maria tells the events of the crash as she knows them. Carol's supposed death impacted her as her best friend. Talos shows up in his true form, offering an olive branch. He has the black box recording of the crash and lets them listen to it. As Carol listens, the memories come flooding back. Lawson was taking her to her lab when they were attacked. When they crashed, Lawson revealed their identity to Carol and tried to destroy the engine, which held a special energy core. She was killed by the figure in Carol's dream, revealed to be Yon-Rogg, sent to retrieve the core and kill Mar-Vell for her betrayal. This twist isn't surprising, but at least it fits. It doesn't make Yon-Rogg any more interesting, but that's a fault on the writing and not Law's performance. Carol is shaken up by the revelation, unsure what to believe. Talos tells her that after the Kree mercilessly destroyed their home, Mar-Vell switched sides to help them find a new one. After some reassurance from Maria, Carol chooses to finish what Mar-Vell started. They modify the aircraft and set course for the lab hidden in orbit. Yon-Rogg arrives at the house to meet a Skrull disguised as Carol. Realizing she knows the truth, he calls Ronan and the Accusers to bomb Earth. Like with Korath, Ronan's appearance here is pointless and adds nothing to the film. The group makes it to Mar-Vell's ship and discover the energy core, none other than the Tesseract, explaining why Carol is so powerful. They also find a group of refugee Skrulls, including Talos' wife Soren, played by Sharon Blynn, and their daughter. Carol now sees the right side of the Skrulls and the oppressive nature of the Kree. However, they have little time to act as Starforce arrives and captures them. They place Carol under the Supreme Intelligence power to take the Tesseract and prepare to leave. Carol faces the Intelligence, who mocks her Mar-Vell's image and tells her she would be nothing without them and the power they gave her. She's taunted further with images of her past, showing her faltering under pressure. However, Carol also remembers getting up every time she fell and kept moving forward. She uses this to break through the Intelligence hold on her and destroy the inhibitor that held back the true extent of her powers. Finally free and at her strongest, she breaks Fury and Maria out and distracts Starforce while they go free the Skrulls and escape with the Tesseract thanks to Goose, revealed to be an alien called a Flurkin, who swallowed it. While Marvel has certainly had better climaxes, this is more entertaining than Dark World at least. Carol wipes through Starforce as Maria guides the Skrulls off the ship. Carol then uses her powers to fend off Rona's attacks and send them packing. As the last one standing, Yon-Rogg faces Carol and demands she fight him hand-to-hand and defeat him without using her powers. She responds by promptly blasting him across the desert and sending him on his ship back to Hala with the warning that she is coming to end the war and the lies. Meanwhile, Goose scratches Fury in his left eye, becoming the origin of how he lost it. This is a stupid joke. I get why they did it, but it's dumb. They took what felt badass about the character and made it a punchline. Sadly, this wouldn't be the last time they do something like this. Carol agrees to help find a new home for the Skrulls in the aftermath and gives Fury an upgraded pager to call her should a new threat to the planet emerge. This has created an obvious plot hole, leaving many questioning why he never called her when the Chitauri invaded New York or when Ultron levels Sokovia. However, the sequel and Secret Invasion series could expand and fill in the gap. Carol then flies up into space and leads the Skrulls to a new world. I'd like to share a personal story here. I saw this film in theaters with my grandfather. While he was following the movie fine for the most part, this moment broke him. Out of all the incredible and unrealistic things in the movie, Carol flying into space with her leather jacket not burning up in the atmosphere was unbelievable for him. It's just something I thought I'd share. The film ends with Fury telling Coulson they will need to find more heroes like her to protect Earth from future threats. He is then inspired by Carol's pilot name, Avenger, to create the Avengers Initiative. It would have been cool if we got the origin for her hero name, Captain Marvel too, But you could argue that she took the name to honor Mar-Vell. The mid-credit scene acts as a prelude to Endgame, with the remaining Avengers on Earth keeping track of Fury's pager, which goes off as Carol arrives, demanding to know where he is. The post-credit scene is another stupid joke, with Goose spitting up the Tesseract on Fury's desk. And with that, Captain Marvel's origin story comes to a powerful end. This is one movie I can confidently say that from the first time I watched it up to now is simply okay. I don't think it's awful, but it's not great. Several things are holding it back. I do think the character has good potential, and under the right team, she could be great. We'll have to wait until the Marvels to see if it works. With all the elements in place, the time came for Marvel to conclude their epic story. Join me next time when we look at Avengers Endgame and see if the worldwide phenomenon is still just as satisfying. Until then, if you want to keep up with my videos, then be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and check out my VODs on my other channel. Feel free to leave a like and share with friends if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.